The psychology of silent confidence. The most confident person in the room is usually not the loudest. In fact, if you've ever met someone who barely spoke but somehow commanded everyone's attention, you've already seen silent confidence in action. So why does it work, and why do people naturally respect it? Let's break it down. Most people spend years trying to look confident, but the habit that creates the strongest impression is something almost nobody talks about. Stay until the end, because that one habit quietly changes how people respond to you. Most people misunderstand confidence. They think it's speaking the loudest, having the perfect comeback, walking into every room as if they own it. I used to believe that too. Then I started paying closer attention to the people who naturally earned respect. Something surprised me. They weren't trying to impress anyone. They weren't constantly talking. They didn't interrupt conversations or rush to share their opinions. In meetings, they often listened longer than everyone else, and when they finally spoke, people stopped and paid attention. That changed how I thought about confidence. Real confidence doesn't need constant proof. Psychologists often distinguish between confidence and self-promotion. Someone who is genuinely secure usually feels less pressure to advertise it. By contrast, people who are uncertain may overcompensate by talking more, seeking reassurance, or trying to dominate conversations. Of course, that's not always true. Personality and culture matter, but it's a pattern many people recognize. One of the strongest signals of quiet confidence is comfort with silence. Think about the last conversation you had. Did someone rush to fill every pause, or did they seem comfortable taking a moment before answering? That small difference matters. People who pause briefly before speaking often come across as thoughtful rather than reactive. It suggests they're considering what they want to say instead of simply trying to respond first. Another habit is emotional steadiness. Life throws pressure at everyone. Deadlines, criticism, disagreements. Confident people still feel stress, but they try not to let every emotion control their behavior. They don't treat every disagreement like a personal attack. I've seen this happen countless times. One person receives criticism and immediately becomes defensive. Another listens, asks a question, and decides later whether the feedback is useful. The second response usually leaves a stronger impression, not because the person never feels hurt, but because they don't let that feeling make every decision for them. There's another misconception worth clearing up. Silent confidence doesn't mean being shy. It doesn't mean avoiding people or refusing to speak. It means your words have intention. You don't speak because you're uncomfortable with silence. You speak because you have something worth adding. That's a completely different mindset. Another quality people often notice is consistency. Someone who keeps their promises, shows up on time, treats people respectfully, and behaves similarly regardless of who's watching, tends to build trust over time. Trust creates confidence in the eyes of others. Not because the person demanded respect, because they earned it gradually. Body language also plays a role. A relaxed posture, steady eye contact that feels natural rather than forced, and calm movements can influence first impressions. These cues don't reveal everything about a person, but when combined with consistent behavior, they often reinforce an image of confidence. One thing I've learned is that quiet confidence isn't about pretending to be fearless. Everyone experiences doubt. The difference is that confident people don't wait until every doubt disappears before taking action. They move forward despite uncertainty. That's an important distinction. Waiting until you feel perfectly confident usually means waiting forever. Another lesson is that silence can sometimes be more powerful than explanation. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs a long defense. Sometimes your actions become the answer. That doesn't mean staying silent in situations where speaking up matters. There are moments when clear communication is essential. But learning the difference between necessary words and unnecessary words is a skill. People notice it. Finally, remember this. The goal isn't to make everyone think you're confident. The goal is to become so focused on your values, your work, and your growth that proving yourself becomes less important. Ironically, that's often when confidence becomes visible to everyone else. Because real confidence isn't about convincing people, it's about no longer needing to. If you want to build silent confidence, start with these 5 habits. Listen before you respond. Pause instead of rushing to speak. Keep your promises, even the small ones. Let your actions support your words. Stop measuring your worth by other people's approval. Confidence grows through repeated actions, not overnight. Here's a question for you. When you think of the most confident person you've ever met, were they loud or were they surprisingly calm? Share your answer in the comments. And if you're interested in learning more about psychology, communication, and the habits that shape how people see us, subscribe and join me for the next video.